Okay, so you'll notice we have a coded entry system on our front door so our members can come and go 24/7 whenever they're inspired. Have a look around the entry. We've got artwork, we've got a sheet metal shear so we can chop copper, aluminum plates for various workshops and sales to members. We have our members sign in and out so we know who was here when. Every member gets a flat file drawer to store their paper, plates, and prints. We have paper cutters, mats. We've got flat files filled with art and print racks with art for sale. We've got a light table. We have actually 3 light tables now. Here we have the main studio. At this point we have 5 etching presses, 2 mid-size etons that are 2 by 4 feet. These are the workhorses in the studio. Most of our members work on plates and blocks that fit in these presses and they're really easy to operate. This is our little griffin. Down here we have an assortment of inks and ink modifiers. We have brayers and ink knives. We've got tarlatans. We have a desktop. We have the Adobe Creative Cloud loaded. We've got laser printers, inkjet printers. That one's really large size, so we can do big transparencies for screen print, photo emulsion, exposure, as well as other techniques. And here we have an assortment of community supplies, including colored pencils, acrylic paints, there are tapes, rulers, pencils, erasers, scissors, and then a drawing rack. We have a lot of glass surfaces throughout the studio, which makes it easy for artists to mix up, roll out their ink, and clean up easily. Okay, and here we have our massive Ray Trail etching press, 4 feet by 8 feet. We can do enormous woodcut, dry point, monotype, and other processes on this press. We are expecting Big Ink back for the 3rd time, May 30th and 31st. I believe there are 17 artists working on their woodcuts right now. Worst case, we may have to postpone the event, but we're still excited about seeing what these artists are creating. Okay, and back this way, we've got our etching station. We only etch copper because it doesn't create toxic fumes. So we have these vertical tanks so we can get a really large plate in there. So there's the etch, the rinse, and the wash. So over here we have a traditional aquatint box to create tone in your image as opposed to just line work. But to use this, you have to wear masks, you have to open up the studio and get all the dust particles out. You don't want to inhale that stuff. So most of our members do an alternative aquatint. We have a hot plate to melt the traditional rosin aquatint onto the copper plates, and then that will resist the etch. We also have a toaster oven to bake on a new ground called Big. Here we have what's known as a book press or a nipping press. And I've also been told that this was the original copy machine. So you'd put a stack of papers in with material between so that you could get multiples of that letter. This is a paper guillotine. You can slice through an entire stack of paper, a ream of paper, all at once. Pretty powerful and dangerous, and that's why it's chained up. So we have an assortment of cleansers and grounds and other materials for our members and guest artists to use. And every member gets their own storage cubby if they have special tools or inks or plates they want to leave on site. Okay, so in here, our kitchenette, we've got our soaking station because a lot of printmaking techniques require damp paper. We don't want it dripping wet, so we bring it over here and blot it mostly dry. We have typical kitchen stuff like microwave, coffee maker, So this is a piece by Talmadge Doyle, a local phenomenal printmaker. Here's another piece by Susan Loudermilk, who teaches printmaking at Lane Community College. Right behind you, we have pieces by Lynn Peterson, one of our longtime members. Another piece behind you, this is Mika Iono, who's the studio tech at the U of O. That's one of mine. And more artwork throughout the studio. We can do a special tour looking at all the pieces. We even have artwork in our big bathroom. And welcome to the letterpress room. We have two floor model treadle operated Challenge Gordon platen presses, also known as letterpresses. We also have an assortment of lead type that we can hand set to create sentences one backward letter at a time with spacers. Lock it into a chase with the furniture. Okay, so once you've carved a type high linoleum block or a wood engraving or resin engraving, or you create a block of text, you can lock it into a chase with furniture right behind you, little wooden blocks, and coins and keys to snug everything up, and then you bring the chase over, you lift it. Nothing will fall out once you tighten it all up. And you slip it in the press, lock it into position. On the wrong side. So you would have ink on this ink disc. And then the rollers here, you twist this and it picks up the ink. The rollers pick up the ink from the disc and then roll down ink over your block. And then you put your paper in. Once you get in your groove, you can use this treadle. And then as fast as you can feed and pull your paper, you can be printing. So you can get a big edition really quick. And back here, we have our new expansion. This is our lithography studio. We have two litho presses and an assortment of stones. So we have one here on this press with an image on it. We've got another one over here at the grading station, and we will remove this image with this tool called a levigator and grit. We make a slurry and get that levigator spinning, or you can use a second stone on top of this one and you just glide one stone over the other until you ground away that image. This tool is a corner cutter and paper drill, and again you can use the foot stomp shear action to cut through a stack at a time. We have some really large stones, some smaller stones which are easier to handle. We have more type cabinets, and we actually have more type that we need to sort and distribute in those pockets. Over here we've got a couple boxes, actually 4 boxes full of rollers for rolling ink on your stones. These are 2 tabletop platen presses, also known as letter presses. So you can do smaller works of art or business cards or small invitations with these. Another larger litho press here. In the box at the end is an enormous roller. Sorry, it's screwed shut right now. More rollers at the end here. And we've got another light box here and a stone easel, which makes it easier to view your work of art you're creating. Here's a stone in progress. This is gum Arabic to protect the margins, ready to work. Our cabinets are loaded with inks. So we need more members to come help us use this up. Should I take you up to the annex? Oh, you haven't seen the art library yet. So this section is all about printmaking. Instruction on all sorts of techniques. And then over here is just general art instruction. So composition, perspective, there's figure drawing, landscape. And then the bottom shelf is collection by artists and museums. So if our members or guest artists need inspiration or instruction, they've got it at their fingertips and they can even check them out. Hi! So this is my office studio storage. I actually took a great deal of art supplies home because I wasn't sure I was going to be able to access the studio while we're sheltering in place. So those shelves are usually loaded. It's a bit overwhelming. More flat files. Clay space office. You can see they're monsters. Ready? Come on out, I'll get the door. Unfortunately, we don't have interior access to our annex space, so we have to go out and around. At the top of the stairs and off to the right is a common area. So we can have our meetings and lunches and sketching sessions up here. Hi again. So this is our annex space. Still use the space for screen printing, painting, felting, a variety of other art endeavors. More flat files, more drying racks. This enormous table so we can roll out a bolt of fabric or roll of paper and repeat our pattern. We have another light table. We've got an assortment of screens and inks. And back here is our dark room. Squeegees. This is our funky washout station and exposure unit.